TNA has announced its television deal, its U.S. media rights deal with AMC. Beginning January the 15th, it will stay on Thursday nights, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And from the story that we have up on the site, TNA has signed a multi-year deal with AMC to air its Thursday night program Impact on the U.S. broadcast channel beginning next year. The agreement, which has been rumored for weeks prior to its confirmation, was announced Tuesday in a press release. They have not released the length of the deal or financials. As part of the new agreement, TNA will get a weekly time slot at 9 Eastern on both AMC and AMC Plus. Starting January 15th, the promotion's live premiere on the station will take place at the Curtis Culwell Center in Dallas, Texas, and a TV taping has also been announced for Albuquerque, New Mexico, the home of Breaking Bad, on January 22nd and 23rd. And they actually do make note of the fact that Albuquerque is where Breaking Bad is set in their announcement of that TV taping. So, AMC was in approximately 60 million U.S. households as of late 2024. So that's a year ago. I would imagine that's eroded a little bit, but it would certainly be a step up from Access TV. So on the surface, I mean, the big unknown way is how much this is worth. And there's been some figures that have been floated out there, nothing that we have confirmed, but that certainly is like, if they are in the ballpark of getting like what NXT did with CW, I would categorize that as
how much?
It's about 20 million that NXT is getting from CW off the top of my head. Like if they're in that level, I'd call that a big win for TNA.
Even if they're not, I mean, didn't Carlos Silva say that he was aiming for what, 5 to 10 million? Even that would be a tremendous success.
Like they were not getting, basically, like since Spike TV, like television revenue has not been a driver for this company. Like they are on a network that Anthem owns. So it does make you wonder, like what becomes of Access TV in Anthem's portfolio when, their biggest property is TNA and they have, gotten a better deal elsewhere on top of that. But what are just some of your impressions? Obviously, I always get this question. This will not impact Canada in any way. They're on Rogers Sportsnet. They'll continue to be on Sportsnet. This is a US only deal.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, last we spoke about TNA on this sort of, larger platform. We weren't really talking about it in the best light. I mean, they had just gone through all the stuff with Santana that I think ultimately left at present, is leaving a lot of sour taste in people's mouths. The stuff with the Collier shot gauntlet, just not that great. But they always, even at that point, had this sort of a big announcement, I think, pretty much waiting. And this is, you can't look at this as anything but a major win for TNA. We're talking years now at this point where this company has not had this level of platform to land on a home like AMC, which certainly rivals, some of the competition's platforms. To me, it's way more than I expected, when they were talking about landing a deal.
It's also interesting the fact that they are staying on Thursday nights, which I think is a benefit to TNA. We had heard, the rumors of whether this would end up on a Wednesday and create a head-to-head battle. Carlos Silva had stated he was open to moving to Wednesdays. I think that would have been really detrimental to TNA. And I think for AMC, of like, what value is there for us by taking this wrestling product and putting it head-to-head as opposed to having its own night? I think that's just cutting your legs off, I would think, going against AEW or any other wrestling program at the moment, where I don't know if TNA would be anyone's priority over any competing national wrestling at this point, whether if it was going against NXT, which would make no sense, and any WWE, or AEW in this sense.
No, I mean, we've kind of seen, like, AEW at this point is just... It's a priority for a lot of people that are looking for an alternative to WWE, and TNA is very much catering to that same market, right? And the choice would really be obvious. I mean, there's a lot more money being put into AEW than there is into TNA, so they're not in a position where they should be competing at all right now. They should be in a position just to kind of like, collect as much of the market share as they possibly can, and being on Thursday represents the best chance of that. What does this mean for their relationship with WWE?
So Carlos Silva was on Busted Open Radio this morning, and he was asked that question about whether the TNA NXT relationship would continue. And this is from the Observer site. He was asked about it continuing, and Silva responded, "Absolutely. It's a big part of helping us get this deal. It's a big part of now being able to almost give back a little and provide a big platform for some of those superstars as well. And so, absolutely, the storylines, the things we're doing together, they're just going to continue to grow into 2026. So from that characterization is that this is not going to affect NXT. We will see in time, but regardless of however people want to characterize this relationship, like TNA has gotten a better television deal, in theory, a significantly better paying one. It's like if this NXT,
even if it was being paid $20,
yeah, I know, I understand. Deal. But like from all accounts, it's probably a very healthy deal for TNA. That if this NXT partnership ended tomorrow, I think TNA they've come out way more ahead than you would have. Like when we first talked about this crossover, if you thought TNA was just going to be the doormat for NXT, it's really not been the case. It's helped them. There's probably some like losses we will see over time of talent migrating there. But as a net, I mean, TNA has done fairly well with all things considered.
Well, what are the losses? You know, if you're telling somebody that hey, in exchange for Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace, maybe eventually, Leon Slater, and I don't know, maybe eventually a Mike Santana, in exchange for those talents, and maybe even more, we might use your platform to be able to get a better TV deal for us that might take us through many, many years from now. Yeah, I'm making that change. Those talents, if they're good enough, they're leaving anyway. I don't see this as anything but a major win for TNA.
As long as the concierge remains in TNA, they will be okay with this.
So, I mean, I think this greatly boosts the platform of TNA and really just kind of confirms it. I mean, it's already boosted over the past year, but now having an actual destination that is readily available for many people to actually tune into, I imagine will make it more of the conversation. Now it's up to the job of the creative to satisfy those audiences, to give them a compelling reason to tune in every single week, because there's only so much appetite, I think, for wrestling, for first run programming for a wrestling fan. And even though we're talking about TNA, to get people to actually watch is its own battle.
Yeah, I think the other thoughts on this is the fact that, they did land this deal despite the unexpected big data plus panel declines that they could not have foreseen coming when these negotiations began earlier this year. And they were at least it wasn't enough that it scared off any potential suitors for them. So I think that is noteworthy in and of itself. And then it's going to be difficult to contrast this because we don't get any ratings anymore for TNA on Access. So what they do on AMC, first of all, will we see those numbers? And B, how much growth there will be. I don't think this is a game. Why
wouldn't we see the numbers if it doesn't
just
rank?
if they do, we should. You're right. We should see these. I don't don't quote me on this, but I don't believe Access is attached with Nielsen. I think that's the main reason we don't get those numbers. I think that's the understanding, and that's not the case with AMC. So we for all intents and purposes, we should see these numbers, but how much growth there is, I think going from Access to when we did get Access numbers, they were typically in the 90 to 100,000 viewers range. Typically, some did a little higher, some a little lower. I don't think AMC, they're going to be out there doing 800,000 viewers or anything like that. I think they'll be. You would hope for a modest increase, and we'll see over time.
More importantly, how does it compare to what AMC is currently airing on the spot? Ultimately, you're asking, is AMC seeing value in attaining this wrestling property on their channel? Again, without knowing exactly what they're paying for, maybe hard to say, but maybe we'll get hints of that in reporting in the weeks to come.
December on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we have 2 editions of Rewind Away set for you, including a patron's pick where you have voted for us to review the Survivor Series from 1991, Hulk Hogan's Gravest Challenge. Then it's over to 2002 and a review of the very first WWE draft involving Raw and SmackDown as they kick off the brand extension. David Bitzenspan is going to join me as we review Video Killed the Radio Star, a documentary on Bubba the Love Sponge, and the sex tape involving Hulk Hogan. Plus, we will have reviews of TNA Final Resolution, New Japan's World Tag League Final, Collision Course every single week, and XL editions of Rewind of Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com.